Men Without Hats, Where Do the Boys Go? Ivan Doroschuk is on the phone with me now. Ivan, this track is from Folk of the 80s Part 3. It wasn't a commercial success, and I consider it a highly underrated album. Talk about the concept behind it.
It was the concept was once again a very loose one, but the thing that happened with that record is that we got dropped from the record label. That's why that song never happened. So that's another thing that always happens. Happens a lot with people wonder why songs don't happen, and that was the reason for that one. It was right in the middle. The record was put out as we were being dropped by the record label. So that's why the next album came out on Polygram, and subsequently all of our catalog is on Universal now. It's been all bought up by the same people, so it makes it a bit easier.
The video for Where Do the Boys Go did wind up on MTV for a little while, but it did and it did feature all sorts of bottom snowmen. But what's not to love about the symbol of the Quebec Winter Carnival?
That's it. Anybody who can... I use that symbol because I figured if anybody could get people to go up to Quebec City in the middle of winter when it's about 45 below and walk around the street and have fun, I figure... it would do us good.
Those things have great smiles, too. They're very inviting and welcoming.
Yeah.
And
in a very, very threatening kind of way, though.
I understand one of them has a talent for the drums.
Yeah, that was another take. That was, since it's a Bonhomme, I was paying tribute to John Bonham from Led Zeppelin.
I saw that. That's why his name was Jay Bonham. On the Pop Goes the World album. But before I get to that one, I wanted to go back a little bit to Folk of the 80s Part 3. I noticed Tony didn't really get a fair shake because he was kidnapped in I Like from Rhythm of Youth, and then he dug a hole in the ground and nobody bothered looking for him in Folk of the 80s Part 3, the song. Same guy?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. We had closure this summer. We did a Canadian tour, and we saw him in Montreal, and we had a chat, and it's all fine. It's all good.
You say you got dropped from the record label, Ivan, with this one. There were some very good tracks in there that just didn't get a fair shake after that, and it's a good thing that some of them have been re-released and people have a chance to get them as far as digital downloading now. Talk about some of the fan reaction to the fact that they can get some of these songs that were out of print a while ago.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been 20 years, and since I last went on tour, the CD has come and gone. So... it's pretty amazing. Like my first 3-4 records didn't even come out on CD, and now I hear vinyl's coming back. So things have been changing, but it seems that they're getting back to what they used to be. So it's coming full circle. That's why we're out on this tour now too, just to be able to play these hits once again. It's the first time I've been able to play my back catalog and play all these hits back to back. Because usually when you go out on the road, you're just promoting a new record. You play an hour of new music, and then you play 15 minutes of the old stuff all packed together. And this time it's the opposite. We're playing an hour and 15 minutes of old stuff and 5 minutes of new music, so it's great.
And some of your old stuff didn't get to all of your fans because some EPs weren't released in the U.S. and some didn't get to other parts of the world. So now they can hear you play editions of You, Freeways, and Heaven live, which is always a good thing.
They can hear everything. It's great. YouTube has really changed a lot. It was really, really funny. After our first show, we went back to the hotel and watched the sound check on YouTube. So it's crazy.
Now, on Pop Goes the World, which was another big album from Men Without Hats, that came after Folk of the 80s Part 3, a lot of it told the story of Johnny and Jenny. So like Tony, you had these two characters sort of put throughout this album. It was almost describing their entire love and performance story, if anything. Who might Johnny and Jenny have been based on?
It was just based on everybody. It was really, I was just trying to use symbols of myself and the people who liked my music and the people who loved music in general, and just the people, just people going through life and asking questions and wondering what it's all about.
So what you're saying, Ivan, is there's a little Johnny and Jenny in all of us?
I think so, yeah. That's basically what I was trying to get at.
Now, am I under the understanding that Jenny Wore Black was actually written much before this album?
I think it might have been. Because I think we played it live before the Pop Goes the World album came out.
I was worried about the Baby in the Moonbeam video, too, because Johnny took his air.
I was worried about the baby in the Moonbeam video, too. Don't worry. It was, they've changed the laws now, too, so you can only have babies on set for like 40 minutes or something like that. So
they have a baby...
I'm a lot better.
They have a baby union now, I suppose.
Yeah. Good thing, too.
Ivan Doroschuk is my guest on Revenge of the 80s Radio. After that came The Adventures of Men and Women Without Hate in the 21st Century. It revealed a more philosophical Ivan at the time, but why Hey Men and In the 21st Century were the tracks that got a lot of attention. One standout story in my book in the album was Everybody's Selling Something. It was a take on the music business.
Kind of, yeah. It was the phrase that Colin actually came up with that phrase. Colin, we were talking one day, and I forget what we were talking about, and we were talking about the music industry, I guess, and he just said everybody's selling something, and that just struck me as a good starting point for a take on the business.
One of the lines was, more 4/4s in the neighborhood banging on the same guitar. If you modernize that a little bit, you can always say more 4/4s in the neighborhood using the same auto-tune machine.
That's it. That's what it's up to now, yeah.
That's the new music business today. And I got to say, you really spiced up SOS in that album, too.
Yeah, we still do that one live, too. It's a lot of fun. ABBA's always been a really big influence of mine, and they, too, taught me how to write a good pop song and how to, do a good job.
And that leads me to this question, Ivan, because there are a lot of aspects to your music. We went through some of them, but what made a real Ivan Men Without Hats pop song?
It has to say something. It has to have a good melody, good catchy melody, and it has to have, some kind of message. An extra bonus is if you can dance to it.
And you can dance if you want to.
Yeah.
So in 1991, you turn around with another new Men Without Hats lineup, and you just take the fans by the blind side and put out a totally different sound with Sideways.
Yeah. It was time to shake them up a bit.
Heavy guitars, prominent bassist and drummer. You're rocked out with the title track. Then you go back to early rock with Nadine. Take on the classic Beatles with your cover of I Am the Walrus, but little Nicola apparently didn't agree with that, but different story. Then you went country with Fall Down Gently and Ken Barbie Love. All over the map here.
Yeah, no, that was a fun album. That was one of the most fun records I've ever made. It was just a bunch of friends getting together and really making music for the pleasure of music. And that album also didn't go too far, but the record company had not a clue of what was going on. They didn't. It was early. It was very. In their defense, it was early '90s, and they didn't see it coming. So it was that was it.
And you recorded this in close to my neck of the woods in upstate New York. Ivan Doroschuk is my guest on Revenge of the 80s Radio. Straight ahead, we'll talk about his solo album and get into the new stuff. Coming soon, Open Your Eyes by Ivan Doroschuk from his 1997 solo album, The Spell. Back then, you went under Ivan.
Yeah.
It had some elements of mid-years Men Without Hats, but a lot more club influence. Talk about what you wanted to do with that CD.
Yeah, The Spell was more about making a dance record. I had a friend who had a studio and invited me to make a record, and technology was changing. It was a sort of a crossroads, another crossroads of technology. And I put the whole thing together by myself, and it was a lot of fun. As
a solo artist, are there some things that you want to do that you haven't done yet, genre-wise, that you might want to do a little bit later on?
Oh, I might want to do a cover record, a record of only covers. That's something I've always been sort of toying with that idea.
You have done covers in the past, and you've made them your own. What are some of the songs you would like to cover?
I don't know, maybe some old R&B stuff. I've got a pretty extensive record collection, and I think that 95% of my collection is from between 1970 and 1975, and out of that, about a good third of it is R&B, funk, soul stuff. So that's a big love of mine.
R&B sounds like another set of influences. Who are some of your favorites?
In the R&B scene, probably one of my biggest influences would be like Eddie Kendricks, that type of sort of.
Ivan, we mentioned before that you're back in the U.S. on tour for the first time in 20 years. Are you enjoying it?
Oh, it's great. It's a blast. We just played Las Vegas, and we're playing L.A. tomorrow, and heading off right across the country all the way to New York. It's going to be awesome. A lot of gigs with Human League and B-52s. It's been great. We just did cross Canada, did a few shows with Devo, another one of my heroes. So it's been a blast. We've been having a great time.
Men Without Hats will be in New York very soon. On the 23rd, you're scheduled to be at the Beacon Theater, the 24th at the Mexicali in Teaneck, New Jersey, and I believe it's the 25th in Bordentown.
Yeah, I'm not quite up on the schedule. I just go where they point me. But that sounds about right.
They're pointing you in a lot of ways, too. You've added dates recently, so if anybody wants to check out the latest tour dates, go to...
They're up on our Facebook page. Just go to... That's the best way to keep in touch with what the band's up to. That's the one that gets updated the most. The Men Without Hats Facebook page.
So if you're on Facebook, go to Men Without Hats Facebook page. You get all the latest news. We'll keep you up to date as well on our website, revengeofthe80sradio.com. I understand for our Australian and European audiences, you're going to be headed in their necks of the woods.
Yeah, we're planning all that for 2012, early next year. We're heading off to Europe. Hopefully swing by Australia, Japan, try and see everybody.
And they can keep up to date as well on your Facebook page. You also recently played at the North by Northwest show. From what I understand, you made an announcement about recording new music.
Yeah, we're putting out a new record. We're after this Human League B-52's U.S. tour is finished. We're going back in the studio and recording an EP called Folk of the 80s Part 4, which we're going to release in the new year too. What
might we expect to see on Folk of the 80s Part 4?
It's basically a continuation of Folk of the 80s Part 3, and it's a lot of fun. That's one thing I can say about it. We've been writing some new songs, and it's just been a blast. So it's been translating a lot into what we're doing. So it's cool.
Might there be a sneak preview of some of your new stuff being played
on tour?
We are playing
new songs along the way. Yeah, we are featuring a couple of songs in this tour, and we just put them in. We change it up every night. So,
any other surprises for your longtime fans that they might see when they catch you on tour?
Yeah, there are. That's why you got to come and see us.
Oh, you're not going to tell us, huh?
Not
even a little hint here. You have to go see the concert.
Yeah.
Pretty sneaky. I got that. Ivan Doroschuk, I want to thank you for coming on Revenge of the 80s Radio with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
What I want to do is play one of your tracks from Sideways. We talked about how much different that was from a lot of what people remember about Men Without Hats. So here is Ken Barbie Love from the 1991 album Sideways by Men Without Hats on Revenge of the 80s Radio.